Kaspa is on the verge. This is the first pre-test to the final exam. Kaspa is about to do 100x. In this video, we're going to break down all the details, put together an entire paper trail. Right now, Kaspa is super popular for having moon boys making insane price predictions. And while their thesis and hypothesis is very clever, it's not the rock bottom driving forces. And that's what we're going to break down in this video. We're going to piece everything together, starting with the money. It's very important for Kaspa to hit 100x. There has to be money out there. And by following the cash all the way down the rabbit hole, we're going to directly connect it to Kaspa, incorporating in a lot of methods, strategies, and tactics that crypto investors don't even use right now today. I saw a great comment. Kasplex is rolling out the KRC20 this month. The fastest technology. Prepare yourself, take a deep breath, and let's let it happen. Very similar to this comment. Kaspa should be a minimum 25 cents now. Once the KRC20 launches, we'll easily start rocketing to the upside. Here's the deal. Studying the tech is very important. What we're going to cover in the video is the other side of the fence. Stuff that nobody on social media is talking about. Stuff that will increase your bottom line better than anything else. The market is the ultimate teacher. Everybody just got their test results in. On this channel, we got an A+. We 15x as we found the bottom, shorting on the way down. The rest of people going with these legacy crypto picks, these goofy GameFi, following Alex Becker around. Alex Becker makes some okay callouts. He's in AI. A lot of his picks are not that good, in my opinion. Those guys are getting a D for dead even, or F for far below. ICP, AVAX, all of these legacy coins haven't gone anywhere. Kaspa's been rocketing, and it's all connected to Satoshi's secret and what we're going to be breaking down in this video. We're going to be looking at not only the crypto charts, but jumping back over into monetary supply. This is the M2. This is just how much cash they printed. This rabbit hole itself goes so deep. To show you the absolute deep end of it, this is major foreign holders of Treasury securities. So, and these documents go on and on and on. You could hire an accountant to go through here, start piecing together local bonds, things of this nature, and start to get a much more direct correlation to the global liquidity supply and how much of that is flowing into cryptocurrency. And to do this with a summary, we'll look at the 1-year bonds. These have a direct hand-in-hand correlation to cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Let's pull up the Bitcoin chart just to underline how important this chart that we're looking at right now is to cryptocurrency. Everybody who calls themselves a crypto trader who isn't using this, you've now just entered the next level of accuracy, being able to find not only when the top is, but how high it will reach. Jumping over to the Bitcoin chart, check this out. February 21st, 2021, and this date here, June 7th, 2022. Remember those two dates as we jump back over to our other chart. Right here, these are the 1-year bonds. February 18th, 2020, that's 1 year. Notice how it says right here, 1-year bonds before the first Bitcoin top. What do we have here? There's a new all-time high in bond sales. It's right when that bottom hit. So there's a direct correlation in what we're going to track in this video. And this is what we've been doing on this channel, why we've crushed everybody. On Kaspa, it's very simple to see the connection to FOMC bond markets just by looking at this chart right here. It shows every FOMC meeting. Look what's happening for Kaspa time and time again. That old guy, Powell, gets in front of the television and he starts talking about those charts that we were just looking at, bonds, the M2, things along those lines. Kaspa is so reactive to it, it's rocketing to the upside. Look what happened in November. We made the 10x call out, 72 hours later, boom, rocketing to the upside. Open VIP here, look what happens. Boom, rockets to the upside. Just recently, the bottom, the absolute depth, was the same day Powell was getting on TV. And why this is so important and why this is indicating such a bullish factor. And as we start getting into this accounting, we're going to break the calculator out. We're going to do the full equation to prove Kaspa can 100x. That's on the table with ease. That's not even an insane prediction from right here. One of the biggest errors I hear on social media is people are like, well, it's already at a 3 billion market cap. That's good, because in order for the major players in the game, the big dogs who own these bonds, to start stepping up and buying Kaspa, that's exactly what we want. They're not going to go for some micro cap. They need more money. And look at this, Marathon Digital. Look at their biggest holders, BlackRock. Of course, Marathon's been mining Kaspa, and who else? Jane and Jump Street. They're a market maker. That means Jane and Jump Street right there, they own more USTD stablecoins than any other entity on the planet. And we all know through those KRC20 and the KII connections, Kaspa will be moving into the stablecoin business. They've got Kaspa folders, reports on their desk right now. They're looking over it. They own Marathon Digital. Marathon Digital's mining it. You bet your bottom dollar that 1% hash rate Marathon has is so they can gather data and information, and they have their tech nerds analyzing Kaspa upside down, sideways, left and right, because it's all incorporated with Satoshi's secret. We did a whole video on this. The global liquidity cycle. Here's the funky news. We all know Powell's about to get in front of the television and say, we're going to cut rates on the bonds. Going back to this chart, this means instead of paying people 5%, what are they going to do? They're going to pay less. As less money goes into bonds, more money goes into risk on assets. And as these bonds unlocked, exactly like we showed with that February 20th, as these bonds unlock, this money flows into crypto. So when we get into the accounting side of this video, we're going to start counting up the money. How much is in the bonds? How much more of a percentage is going into crypto? How much is Kaspa absorbing? We can already see. The reason why Kaspa's been so bullish isn't because Crypto Galaxy and all the Peach Fuzz meme coin traders are all psyched up about it, making their content. It has nothing to do with it. It's all about the BlackRock connections, Jane and Jump Street. There's something stirring underneath the pot for Kaspa. We clued on to this during this FOMC meeting at the bottom of the cup, because looking at the total 3 chart, you can see the rest of the altcoin market cap was completely in dismay, while Kaspa was showing signs of strength. And this all took place right through here. Right now, what's happening right now in the market is just a more detailed examination of what we're about to study, the bond cycle. Notice this descending trend line. This is a repeating trend line. That's the technical analysis system we teach inside our VIP. Right here, June 1st to June 15th on the Kaspa chart, this was sideways and then upward, signaling, wait a minute, Jane and Jump Street, the guys who own Marathon Digital with BlackRock, they dumped their Webull and Robinhood type holdings in legacy cryptos. So they're selling the ICPs and then turning around and buying Kaspa right here. That was right here, June 1st. And then it did a massive cliff dive on the total 3 chart. This was our signal. We knew from the understanding of the bond market right here, back the truck up. We hadn't even gotten into all of the details, done a deep dive, full 24-point report on Kaspa yet, but we knew that signal tells us there's tech nerds somewhere that are telling BlackRock, Jane and Jump Street to buy this. And we had even hypothesized later on that Marathon Digital would be interested in mining it after we studied how their ASIC works, but we didn't even think that was going to happen until 2030. So jumping into the accounting and the detail side of this, tracing the exact dollar amounts to figure out where we're going to end up. We'll start by looking at the prior market top. Right here on CoinMarketCap, they have beautiful historic snapshot. You can go through and look at the historical ranks, backtest what was going on and start correlating it to market data. So what we find here, and we're about to bring up some more of that monetary policy stuff to match this, Bitcoin in November of 2021 equals $1 trillion. That's a very important number. As we fast forward into 2025, in the beginning of 2026, this is estimated to hit $3 trillion, $150,000. The altcoins and their ratio to Bitcoin can reach 10%. ADA, Solana, Cardano, XRP, as these are breaking out and reaching their tops, they're 10% of Bitcoin all day. So if Bitcoin is 3 trillion, 300 billion is achievable based on this historic numbers, but we're going to go even deeper. We're going to start pulling up the numbers. $8 trillion by March of 2026. At 6 trillion, we're at $150,000 Bitcoin. Therefore, the altcoins historically have reached up to 10% of Bitcoin's all-time high. Kaspa, which we've already proven through this chart here, and on the more fundamental side, through its connections to BlackRock and Jane and Jump Street. In my opinion, Jane and Jump Street is an even more important connection than BlackRock. Jane and Jump Street, they're the market makers. They're the guys, because Kaspa was a fair launch, they're the ones running over and buying loads of it because they have to fill their bag. And the way these guys operate, they have to produce results. They have shareholders. Using the FOMC cycle, they can get better predictions. So as that old guy Powell gets on TV, they're analyzing all the data, not just whether or not he's going to cut rates. They're looking at the jobs market. Right now, they're talking it's not going to be inflation. It's actually going to be jobs that are going to be driving the up and coming rate cuts. Now, here's an additional factor that nobody's talking about. Everybody got really lucky in the last bull run because we had this massive cliff drop. This was based on lockdowns. What that looks like on a crypto chart is this massive spike to the upside, as well as a distribution period. So you get the run up and then you get the distribution where they're selling it off. And the distribution lasted a year. During this cycle, some of the questions that we've got to start asking ourselves, on top of how high can Kaspa go, what shape, what kind of performance is the overall crypto market going to have? Is it going to do a double top? Are we going to get a year of distribution? A lot of people are coming up with it's going to be a blow off top, and that has direct connections to the way that this bond market plays out. The faster and quicker Powell and the FOMC can get this number down to zero, the longer the consolidation and the harder the run up will be. It's just a hands down fact. It can go slower. They might not get rates down to 0 again. It can only go to 2. It could drop down to 3. And that's the low. Therefore, creating higher probability of a blow up top. As this data comes in, we get more information and we can start to build full out accounting price models. We can see the 150,000 price prediction on Bitcoin using the repeating trendline system. The massive difference between crypto and stocks are the emission and halving schedule. To show how realistic 150 is, we have these repeating trend lines. We can see this broadening wedge pattern with the gold and the purple trend lines forming again here. Following that upwards into the start of 2026, which is realistic, we start reaching 130. This Fibonacci pitch of another repeating trend line is topping out around 150. So we're right in that range, even with technical analysis on Bitcoin. As you can see, these trend lines cut through the prior market top, acting as support even off the Terra Luna crash, and then again at the all-time low. And we can see that again on the total 3 repeating trend lines. On Kaspa, this is our bread and butter. Some of the ways that we've been able to make almost David Copperfield-like callouts is right here. On the 28th of August, bond sales start to kick in. They're actually selling more of those 5% bonds. They're getting such a high yield. Everybody wants to jump in. Everybody wants to get a piece of the action. We knew the altcoin market cap, everything was going to take a dip to the downside. I'm pulling up these documents that show the $150 trillion total market cap right now worldwide. Here we go. All right. This document was extremely difficult to find in general through combing the internet. And it shows us there's $140 trillion right now floating around inside of global capital markets. Now, what the global capital markets mean is this rabbit hole goes far deeper than the simple 1-year Treasury maturity. You guys remember that movie, The Big Short? They're talking about the AAA bonds. There's a whole variety of this bond market. Some of it's overseas, some of it's local. Total all day, it's 140 trillion now. Based on 2020, it was only 100 trillion. So we've already got an increase there. To top it off, we have the increase in popularity of cryptocurrency. More money is starting to flow into crypto exchanges right now. Centralized exchanges have a record 5 trillion. It's all ramping up. And once we start to factor that in with This massive pile of money, we're talking $140 trillion, is locked up in bonds of all different shapes and sizes. As this starts to unlock, 1 to 2, even 3% of it flows into cryptocurrency. That's how we get the $150,000 Bitcoin top. Kaspa, with ease, being the highest performing altcoin, snatches up 10% of that as the bull run continues to unfold. Looking at the market cap of, let's take BNB for example, all-time high. It would be 30x from right now. We've got to calculate in, there's now 50%, 40 to be exact, increase in the global, we got to term this exactly correct. There's a 40% increase in the global fixed income market. You see, in order to be liberated, to be freed from the golden handcuffs, to have a job, to be financially independent, have a fast car, have $1 million condo on the Vegas Strip, all your bills are paid for, you've got cash in the bank, you're the king of your own world, they're not going to make it easy. It's not going to be an easy run. They're going to hide this all behind layers of information, layers of data. Nobody's been connecting. Nobody's been hitting it off on the head. Our channel has. We crushed everybody just by simply knowing when something is reacting positively during an FOMC meeting and the understanding of bond markets. Let me show you what everybody else did. In May of 2023, crypto banter and everybody underneath them decided it was altcoin season as Powell steps up to the plate and says, we're going to raise rates 25 points. That's the most ludicrous idea to think that that's going to start an altcoin season, because all that means is they're now going to pay more money to everybody who buys bonds. So the Jane and Jump Streets, the market makers, the BlackRocks and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to buy any altcoins right now. We're going to buy yield because they're guaranteed to get 5%. And that's a compounding interest effect. We shorted. We went short right here, finding the bottom. And when we flip this around, do a 180 with it, this is how we find the top. And we just showed you on the Bitcoin chart, the February date, when that cliff drop in bonds happened, that was the first peak in Bitcoin. Massive rip to the downside right there, based on bond auctions. So we were able to recognize when the bottom was because of the understanding in bonds, and more importantly, and relevant to Kaspa, everybody who's sitting with cash at home, Kaspa's been the most reactive, hands down, to bond market information. And we can correlate that directly to their Jane and Jump Street holdings, particularly, even more so than BlackRock. Jane and Jump Street, they're the who's who in the crypto world. They own so much USDT stable coins. Anyone concerned that Bitcoin has reached an all-time high, but altcoins in general haven't done anything? Looking at the total 3 market, yeah. And altcoins are like that. I've been going over and detailing the correlation between the unlocking of bonds and how it affects the altcoin market. Looking at the prior cycle tops here, Bitcoin peaked looking at the total 3 chart, we can see when the Bitcoin peak reached on February, which is exactly when a year after the rate drops on bonds, nobody's buying bonds anymore, and they last 1 year. They start unlocking in February. Bitcoin reached its top, but there's kind of like an aftershock effect, as we can see on the total 3. That's February. So it took another 90 days until the altcoins ramped up. So it'll be a minute. In 2025, Bitcoin will be peaking, and it will be peaking hard. And then the aftershock will be altcoins. So it's timing two different markets altogether. Hands down. Is there a possibility that the bull market is not going to happen next year? Timing? You're asking the right questions. One of the things that we really focus on inside VIP with the technical analysis, combining it with the fundamental research, is focusing on the y-axis, the when everything's going to break down, when everything's going to happen. It's far more easy to say when than what price. A great example of that just recently, that was a pretty David Copperfield style call out that we made in VIP, saying that the altcoin market cap was going to top out, get rejected by these two trend lines on August 28th. And we didn't even need technical analysis to do it. We could have done it just straight up knowing there's a bond auction happening right then. That's going to suck loads of liquidity out of the market. In order to get more information on your question and to get better timing, we've got to watch Powell with his FOMC meetings. We want him to start cutting rates fast and hard. We want this number to dip down to zero ASAP, and in a rapid sense as well. That will be better for us. It will create a longer time frame of selling, a longer top, as opposed to a blow off top. If these numbers, if there's a good chance that this number could stay above 3% for the next 4 years, that will create much more of a quick spike like prior Bitcoin markets, looking back to even 2016 peaks and before then. So all this information that we're slurping off of this chart and some of these other deep rabbit holes, this is all playing into what type of market and when it's going to take place. To answer you straight up, yes. I think that we're probably going to be selling Kaspa inside our VIP in 2026, maybe even a little bit in there. Based on the way that bonds are going right now, it could be late fall. Some of it could go into early 2026. And remember, we timed the exact bottom of the altcoin market previously, as well as caught all those David Copperfield style leverage trades on Kaspa just from knowing and honing in on this information. It's really like a next level stuff. What's up, John? How are you? Getting back to the market cap of and showing a more historic proof that Kaspa can easily, with ease, do 100x. Let's get to the market cap of, as well as the history of these other assets. So BNB would be a 30x from all-time highs, putting Kaspa around $4. We know we can increase that by at least 40%. Why? Because of the amount of cash that's in these bonds right now, plus yield. So the Federal Reserve, they're like the banker in the Monopoly game. They're going to buy these back, sell them again in secondary markets. It's a huge rabbit hole, but there's way more, $40 trillion more that can pump that up. So we can easily increase that from a 30x to more of a 45. Plus, we haven't even factored in how much more popular crypto is getting. The exchanges are starting to rip to the upside, getting more action than ever before because of the Bitcoin ETF. So that's another multiplier to just add on right there. How much Kaspa we need? I would say if you have $250,000 Kaspa, you're gonna hit huge after taxes. You got $250,000 Kaspa just based off BNB's performance, which we've just shown by doing accounting, looking at how much money is out there, how directly this chart correlated with Bitcoin, like spot on, hand in hand. If only we had known, right, during the prior market, how connected this all was, could have made so much more. Meanwhile, it was GameStop phenomenon rocketed the almost exact same time Bitcoin did. You guys all saw that movie? They never talk about the bond market, do they? This is very cloak and dagger behind closed doors. GameStop popped off at the exact same time that Bitcoin did, and it's for the exact same reasons. So Melvin Capital is going to be some kind of a goofball to think he's going to start shorting anything while those one-year bonds are unlocking. This is GameStop. We've showed our GameStop trades on other videos. I have it on my old computer. We were in GameStop chatting with Rory and Kitty. I used to watch his show. I thought it was funny he'd do the Uno deck. The earnings report, it came on our radar 90 days before this rocket ship happened. We scooped up GameStop, realizing that the bond markets were about to start unlocking. This is just the fundamental basics of trading. Therefore, with all that short position on GameStop, GameStop is going to absolutely rocket. This date on GameStop, February, it's basically January 27th, almost February 1st. Looking at the Bitcoin chart, that's the first spike. 21 days later, February 22nd, which is exactly when this cliff drop to the downside takes place. Exactly why we went over all this mustardy, above the shoulder data just recently, starting off with how much more money there's out in circulation. It's a very easy equation to find $8. This is not Moonboy. I despise all the Peach Fuzz Mafia because they're really good at audio video and they've kind of taken over the Kaspa social media sector. And a lot of the more weathered traders like Invest Answers and others, they immediately come up with a biased opinion about Kaspa based on the content creators behind it. They're like, every meme coin, an absolutely ridiculous moonshot play you can think of, plus Kaspa, right? It's across the board. I'm like, oh my God. That's another reason why you should definitely subscribe. If you guys aren't subscribed right now, subscribe and press thumbs up so this information gets out there in the social media sphere and people can hear the word of reason from the top one more time. There's $140 trillion in global fixed income assets. What's a global fixed income asset? It's basically bonds. Every different type. This is the 1-year bond, and we're using it as laymen to help us chart out. There's the AAA mortgage bond. Like they did that entire movie about The Big Short. They were all talking about the bond markets. There's overseas bonds. There's foreign domestic bonds, U.S. international. Whenever the United States needs to go and build a railroad, they issue bonds to do it. The way our entire country works is through the bond market. It's extremely important to understand at least that it's involved with Kaspa and any crypto price. As we've shown on this channel, we got up 15x from one, shorting when we knew it was bad for bond markets, finding the absolute bottom, and then going long on a project that was very reactive to bonds. But back to the $8, putting it all together, chop, chop, chop. Let's get a more zoom in here. We're looking at November 2021. So just for argument's sake, so we can take out a lot of the calculations, let's just pretend that we're rewinding history. Kaspa's on the board. It's in 22nd position. The bull market of last cycle hasn't taken place yet, and it's about to roll out. We'll be able to get a far more accurate field on where Kaspa's going to go. Bitcoin's got $1 trillion. BNB right here, 100 billion, 1/10, 10% of Bitcoin's market cap. And we can keep scrolling through dates and we'll see XRP will jump up to that, very close to that 10% mark. We'll see Cardano gets very close to that 10% mark. Solana, they all are getting between 5 and 10% away from Bitcoin's total market cap. Therefore, Kaspa, with the KRC20 inscriptions, not even all of that stuff. They haven't even launched that yet, so it hasn't even happened yet. Let's go with what's concrete. BlackRock owns a slice of Marathon Digital and Jane and Jump Street does. Therefore, we know for a fact, it's not even a question, they have files on Kaspa. The super smart guys, the uber nerds that are in that movie, The Big Short, they're all going over Kaspa with a fine-tooth comb. Without a doubt, because it's fair launch, it's been way more receptive because of its connection with these entities to these FOMC dates, as we can see on our charts. Every time there's an FOMC meeting, somehow Kaspa is getting more than its fair share of all the extra cash. This is how we originally put Kaspa on our radar. We hadn't even done a deep dive on it, but we knew this is such a strong indicator coming off a background in day trading. The rest of the market was totally dumping. This is what's up. Now, looking forward, we gave the 10x leverage trade call out for free on the main channel. We used to record on a cell phone, proving our merits, proving that we had the mustard before building the studio that can allow us to live stream now and opening VIP. So we called out this 10x leverage trade on Kaspa, and it rockets to the upside 72 hours later. Guess what this is? This is an FOMC meeting. That means these guys, they're having Knights of the Round Table chats, trying to keep retail layman's poor, and they're going to expand their reach, expand their control of the world economic stuff by getting into Kaspa. Now, a lot of the reasons why crypto in general is so popular is because there is a scalability problem. Warren Buffett will tell you flat out, and so will Mark Cuban, don't diversify. He says, the only reason that I diversify is because I'm so rich. He'll try to buy the whole company, like he does with Coca-Cola, Apple. He's just like, well, this is the best one. And there is a correct answer. And as we can see, using hindsight, Kaspa is the correct answer. We got an A on our performance over the past 450 days. We found the bottom. We shorted into it, and we bought an asset that was reactive to FOMC meetings because these guys are doing the boardroom meetings right when this is happening. That's why it's spiking to the upside crazy. Right here, we opened VIP. So off this last leg down, let's bring up the technical analysis chart here. Off this last leg down, we use the repeating trend line system. This is a map version of the power law. Imagine the power law as a globe, or one of those, you cut the globe out and you lay it down on a map. It looks kind of crooked. This is just like the map version of power law. You could say that. During this last downtrend, we got VIP in at 11.5 and under, cold storage. And then over on this right shoulder, we load up as we're escaping the gravitational field, which is a concept that we're going to be using on this XS downtrend. We load everybody up at 12.25 and 13.3. They survive with 10x, 7x, 5x leverage. Both of those trades followed to precision accuracy, escaped the BOJ crash. When we zoom in, we gave everybody a heads up that there was potential downside, showing how effective technical analysis is. You never know when you're going to get a read that can help save yourself. Looking at our pattern directory, this was a call out that we did. Head and shoulder pattern starts forming. We're like, uh-oh, we got to do stop losses. Start setting stop losses. This is also just hit what? The y-axis support line. You see this x-axis orange line? This happens over and over again throughout Kaspa, the handle, even the April breakout. And what it's been doing recently is forming symmetrical triangles. And this is why our TA method is totally different than any other books or any other information you can find online. Look at these symmetrical triangles. It keeps forming the same symmetrical triangle. It just formed it again using a combination of the repeating trendline system, the map version of the power law. The symmetrical triangle is a unique pattern. Unlike the cup and handle, the rising wedge, or the falling wedge, those are almost guaranteed to a 90% statistical accuracy to break either bullish or bearish. Like the cup and handle is always going to break to the upside. Meanwhile, the falling wedge, always going to break to the down. All right, we're getting a bit of internet deference. Getting away from the technical analysis and back to the root of the question. We know how much money is out there. We know how much of a percentage of it is flowing into crypto. Last cycle, off 100 trillion, it was 1%. Statistics are showing it's more than 1% this year. In fact, it's going to be something along the lines of 2, even 3% of that global money that we showed, the $100 trillion locked up in bonds and whatnot. That's going to be flowing into crypto. Based on the historic performances, just measured off the amount of money there is now, there's a 40% increase. So this 25x is much more along the lines of 37. You following me? Because of the amount of cash. Now there's another factor, the popularity of cryptocurrency as well. That can be another 2x multiplier. And so this bull run is going to be monstrously huge. And depending on how the bonds break down, will be shaped differently. There'll be a different distribution pattern than in the prior bull markets. So it's very detailed stuff. And we base all of our trading inside VIP around this bond market factor. This is how we've crushed every content creator. Everybody's getting in front of the camera. They're like, yeah, I've got this system. I know this insight. I'm going to show you guys how to make so much money. You guys didn't make anything. You guys are, most of the stuff you're saying, I can tell you right now, is gobbledygook. It's nonsense. And I hate it when people tie that to technical analysis, because it's not. Technical analysis does work. People are looking at stuff that doesn't really matter as much. It is important, but it's a minute detail that may later play into the more major factors that's happening right now. I'm up 15%, 15x for 450 days. I'm cool. I'm on Kaspa. I know. 50x is like a bearish scenario from where we are right now. And we can use these exact same skill sets that we use to grab Kaspa, to get our hands on Kaspa so early. The reactivity to the bond markets, how sensitive it is, shows us these market maker type players are getting in on it. So that's when we start breaking down these 24-point reports. My number one side bag is Spectral. It's another Polychain Capital project, but I've also got reports on one of these Alex Becker projects that is receptive to bond markets, Destra. It's one of Desync. It's one of his better picks based on that factor. And we also trade PAL AI using technical analysis. We do call outs on that as well as Tau. Yes, it's a bearish scenario. And we've gone into all of the calculations, all of the details, and we're going to further expand upon this as the market goes. We need to find out when Powell's cutting rates, how fast he's cutting rates. That's very important stuff. We want it to go down as fast as possible and get this over with. And there is a good chance that this bull market can spill into 2026. Now, remember, with this Fed rate hike, let's pull up that chart again. If it comes down really smooth and we don't get a big drop off like we did last time, we're way more likely to get a blow off top. See, we got lucky last market. This right here, that's a dream for risk on assets. Plus the money printing, it's like all that cash has to go somewhere. It has to find a home. Remember what Warren Buffett's number one problem is? He's got too much cash. He's like, if I had $1 million, investing would be easy. I'd just buy the best asset I could find and I'd go all in. That's what Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Mark Cuban do. That's what we teach inside VIP. Now there's another factor, time. So since we've been loading the bag and eating Kaspa for so long, at the recent all-time high, I had over 300,000 and we started with 12K. We did that short, finding the bottom, that doubled us up, and then we just got in on Kaspa at the bottom, throw a couple leverage trades in there, we got some extra cash. We're at 300K. I can't save 30,000 a month. I can save 3,000, which means I can only do 1% a month, which means I'm done with Kaspa. My bag is full. What's 1% going to do a month? Nothing. I already packed my bag. I mean, it's full to the brim. So now, starting to look into other projects. And if you guys are new, you just entered the market and you're like, okay, I can get some Kaspa. Don't worry. We have 24-point reports on projects that aren't even on the exchanges yet. They're not even listed. So there's a whole nother round of bullish market. Remember, Solana came in really late in the game and stole a ton of thunder. We've got the number one, hands down, best GameFi, and I despise GameFi. I was trying to do videos about why GameFi was going to rug on everybody and why you should sell your GFAL at the top. I did buy some GFAL, but I sold it at the top. There was a clear head and shoulders. Let's get it. Let's talk a bit about this GameFi. I got to hide my password from you guys. So the thing is with the Hello Labs, I mean, that idea itself was so goofy. It was a crypto project put together by YouTubers. I didn't even do a deep dive on it because that idea itself just, to me, sounded like a very bad one. But with some of the other ones like Lit Labs, as we start to learn about more crypto tools, all right, we're all logged in. We can get back to the charts now. See this breakout to the upside on Lit Labs? The team unlock happened like within 30 days. That makes it a textbook definition. I've got the dictionary open. What's a pump and dump? Oh, they got a giant picture of Lit Labs up there because the team is getting paid 30 days before an unrealistically gargantuan moonshot. Who knows if they're doing some kind of manipulation? Probably they are. That's only speculation. But either way, it's a pump and dump. Whether they were behind the pump or not, now the team's getting paid. Right when this rocket happens, obviously, it's going to sell off massively to the downside. Looking at GFAL, we get some great technical analysis here. This is really unpopular, but it's good learning experience. It's okay to take a hit. You got to trade to get these experience. You can't just read about them in a book. Look at this head and shoulders. At the same time, simultaneously on Twitter, they released an award saying that they had built one of the best games, which was, what's their flagship product called? I can't even remember. Play that game for 15 minutes, any of you GFAL fans, and you'll see. It's boring. It's like a Pokemon game with video clips in the middle. It's like a card collecting game. It's not going to be a hit. But we have the #1 GameFi project that's not even out yet. And actually coming off of the Bank of Japan wick, we traded a GameFi called Matrix Fire. We started planning for the downside here. No, well, how do we know that this one was going to be the best Bank of Japan carry trade wick? It's easy. They're testing it in Japan right now. And then they're going to move it over to the United States. And it had always kind of held $1. So we start planning for this dip to happen once we hear about the Bank of Japan. It was like 18 hours later, it dips. Guys are in the comments like, get it now? We're like, yeah, get it now. So we get it, and then we added on here around 70 cents, and then it just kept ripping to the upside. Another one that we got was our second biggest allocation. This is a polychain capital pick that I really like. I guess it's on crypto.com now. Spectral. We didn't pull the chart up, but we started planning for it to dip below 520 before the Bank of Japan. We got 2 opportunities to hit that low, and then a nice 65% increase. We projected it would make a head and shoulder pattern, but we didn't pull the trigger at the exact top. We're still hodling. We wanted to flip it off, sell the top, and then buy it back down low again. Just going to be another opportunity to grab more. We didn't do that with perfection, but we did project it would be a head and shoulder pattern when the top formed. And we also knew, I mean, we probably dropped the ball on this because we knew inside of VIP, which I'll bring up in a second, right here, the altcoin market was going to crash on August 28th to the day, to the dollar. And by expanding that insight, we can see how Kaspa easily hits $5 to $10 with ease because we're following the bond market. It's very simple stuff. Yes, dollar cost averaging out. Everybody's going to do that. Even the technical analysis. We're planning on dollar cost averaging out, but by utilizing TA in combination with knowledge of the bonds, we'll be able to get a far more insightful prediction as to when these tops are going to form. It's simple math. Remember that Fred chart that we just looked at? Here we go. February 12th, you turn around, you look at the Bitcoin chart, it's like dead on accuracy. That's when the top is in. A year after, they unlock all of that cash. Right there. February 20th. So it's totally connected. It's an insight that should be used in depth and studied deeply. That's what we do inside VIP. Very important stuff. I hear some people are trying to use the popularity of indicators. I heard, who was it? It was CG. He's the lead Kaspa YouTuber. Very clever kid. Smart enough. Back in the day, it was just CG, Kaspa Silver, Crypto John, and myself. We were the only guys covering the project. CG used to have kind of a feeler portfolio. So he picked 5 projects and he was feeling his way around to see which one was going to be his hit. PIP, Shiba Inu, Dogecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, BNB. I started doing videos explaining why you don't diversify. You just don't do it. And I kind of chatted with him. I feel like I might have took him under his wing because he had seen how accurate we had been in shorting the market. Of course, he was in the group that was buying, not at the top fake out, along with everybody else. This caught everybody except for our channel because we have experienced day trading. Everybody got psyched out here on the fake altcoin season. CG kind of recognized that we might have some insight and figured it out on his own to go all in majority on Kaspa. Super smart. He's trying to use how many times the apps, crypto.com and crypto market cap, get downloaded as a signal for when the bull market's going to start. That's very clever, but that's a secondary indicator. What we've gone over in this video with the bonds, that's what you're actually looking for. That's what you really want to see. That's what's going to truthfully kickstart it. The thing is about this younger generation of traders is it takes years of experience. You have to learn this stuff. It's just like UFC fighters. You got to have a certain amount of fights before Dana White can even put you on the line. So as clever as they are, as many interesting insights as they have, it takes decades to really, truly master this and a lot of experience. So I came off day trading, hence the fact we're always showing our GameStop screenshot. And this is where all of this came from, the recognition of the bond markets. When you day trade, you typically trade QQQ and SQQQ. Those are ETFs. One's bullish and one's bearish. By recognizing where we are sentiment-wise from bond markets, you can determine which chart you're going to use and overall risk on sentiment. This is why everybody across the world tunes in to watch that guy Powell on TV. He's going to be on TV next month. He'll speak. News reporters and every YouTuber under the sun that talks about stocks will cover everything he says in detail. For some reason, the crypto market just doesn't get it yet. And a lot of it has to do with the Red Sox theory. They made so much money during the last cycle because the money printer was on, and they just got lucky. They got lucky. There was a cliff dive right here. It was very easy to make cash during the last market. This is going to be a way different top. We just went over while we were calculating the $8 Kaspa prediction. It can shape the peak as well. There was a large dispersion on Bitcoin. There was a peak and it lasted for a year. And then it made another peak. This market top, totally different. Even on the total 3, which is what we're more concerned with Bitcoin. This was Bitcoin's first local top. That's the Bitcoin top. This is the second Bitcoin top. That's when the bond chart unlocks. So it just kind of got riled in here. We don't want to make the mistake and sell too much of our bag on altcoins here because we're making a Bitcoin read on bonds. So this rabbit hole goes way deeper. And yeah, and then this is the distribution. So you have your run-up phase and then a distribution. So we had a total of May to, this is still distribution, May to May. So there was a full year. This is all, you're making bank on altcoins, all anywhere throughout here. 1 year of distribution. The prior market top, totally different bond structure. We didn't get this big drop off. We had more of a rounded, even ramping up further in bonds. It creates a different type of top. Let me get my face out of the way. Nope. This one. It creates a different type of top. And what we're likely to see in 2025 and 2026 is a top like this. Not like this. This was a gift from the investor gods, that particular peak a whole year of distribution near all-time highs in altcoins, that's obscene. So looking with the forward numbers, if crypto hits 6 trillion, Bitcoin's 3 trillion, that means based on historic performance, BNB, XRP, Cardano, they can hit at their peaks 10% of Bitcoin's top market cap. So if Bitcoin's top market cap is 3 trillion, which we can actually chart that, it's $150,000. That looks very doable on the chart using the repeating trendline system. Now we know the leading altcoins will get 10% of that during their peak based on historical price performance, anywhere between 5 and 10%. Getting 150 on Bitcoin's easy. See these two repeating trend lines? This is a breakout trend line. This is a golden repeating trend line. We're bouncing off it right now to get into some Bitcoin charting. And there's a very good chance we're going to lose this support and fall down into a gravitational field. This is the farthest downside possible. See how we had it to the upside? Boom. Crypto's very repetitive. It's very symmetrical. Look at this. It's the same two trend lines. It's spooky, goofy. And you can take this golden one, clone it, and you can just have a field day with it. Zooming in on the charts, it fits everywhere. When you zoom in on the 4 hours, even more. I mean, it's all over the place. The purple breakout trend line's a little different. And then we have our y-axis support in black here. This got knocked off Cantor. As we can see, look at how accurate this is. Coming off of these tops onto this, into the even current cycle, it's acting as support and resistance, bouncing off the lows here and the lows here. The absolute tip top reaches this recent local swing low. These Fibonacci levels, as we can see, we're at another one here. We're actively using that as support. But as we go all the way up to 2025, the beginning of 2026, we start seeing this number 150,000 is all around the chart, particularly at the top of that y-axis extension. So we can get there fundamentally from analyzing the bond market, the total amount of money that's out there. It's $140 trillion. Last cycle, it was $100 trillion. So the crypto market last time took 1%. If it just stays at 1%, it'll be a 40% increase, but there's a multiplier. It can go to 2%. So that's 2% times 1.4. So it's getting monumentally bigger. And that's all coming down to, in a simplified layman's term, this chart, the 1-year bonds. As this bubble bursts, how important this is, the different election campaigns all have different entities jockeying to get specific lobby practices in that are going to make sure that money, this giant bubble right here, is going to go their way. That's what they want. So either way you slice it, this baby's coming out. And when it does, and it starts hitting crypto, it's going to rip to the absolute upside. And Kaspa has been absorbing more than its fair share. Yeah, the math, you can crunch the numbers. We can get into super detail on how much money there is, but it's on the table, and it's very realistic based on historical price performance. Let me zoom in on my face to hide my passwords. We're going to bring up that history chart because that unveils a lot. That's very telling when we pull up this historical price performance, and we'll do a screen in here. So this is November of 2021. Bitcoin's a $1 trillion asset. The key factor that we're looking at is how big are these altcoins? And we can see BNB, 100 billion. This is what we're going over right now, Banana Republic. If it gets 1% of that, that's a great argument and it's an excellent point. Pay attention, because what we're detailing right now is that factor. And we'll expand upon beyond the coin market cap historic projections, just so you can totally paper trail this yourself, because there is a paper trail beyond the $140 trillion, the 1% of that, etc. Okay. Historically, BNB, they're grabbing 10%. Solana, 6%. Cardano, 5%. XRP, 4.5%. And as we scroll through, that's just November. As we shift around a couple months in either direction on this, those numbers go up. They get very close to 10%. So between 5 and 10%, even 4, like the low end, like we can see on XRP, that's very realistic. It just happened. But why Kaspa? What's the big deal about Kaspa? Why is that one in particular going to absorb all the money? And it's because BlackRock, Jane and Jump Street, even more important than BlackRock, owns so much of it. They own all the USTD. These are the holders of Marathon Digital. Because they hold Marathon Digital, this is what we know. On their desk, without a doubt, they have the smartest people in the world giving them a 24-point report on Kaspa. It's happening. For BlackRock, and then in my opinion, even more important than BlackRock, Jane and Jump Street. Who's that? They're the market makers. They own all the stable coins and they own the matching altcoins. So half of their capital is in Tether and Circle because they need to provide liquidity. One of the biggest misconceptions we hear in this community is they're like, oh yeah, Binance and Coinbase has to buy it. Binance and Coinbase don't provide the liquidity. They deal the business to Jane and Jump Street. And these other guys, I'm sure as we scroll down here, there's more market makers besides Jane and Jump Street. These guys want to own their stable coins, not on Ethereum. They're using Solana right now. Guess what Solana's written in? Rust. Getting into the history of cryptocurrency, when they first started building on it, nobody knew if it was going to even work or amount to anything. So they used a substandard code base called Solidity. That's what Ethereum's built on. That's what a lot of these legacy projects are built on. Rust is designed specifically for ASICs. It's designed specifically for cryptos. Works way better with the hardware involved in it. But nobody knew Rust previously, so they didn't build on it. There just wasn't enough talent. Now that crypto is here to stay, there's a ton of people that are gaining their experience and resume on Solana. Right now, all the Tether, the stablecoin activity is heavily dominated by Solana. They just came on the scene because they're doing two types of smart contracts. One's native, one's connecting to the Ethereum virtual machine. Over time, Kaspa does the same thing. They do both types of smart contracts. In my opinion, Solana is just spearheading the way. They're just clearing a path for Kaspa to take over the dominance in stablecoins as all the utility tokens start to get built around Kasplex and the KRC20 and the KII, with the potential for carbon credits being tokenized. Creates way more activity for the Kaspa stablecoins. But anyway, we're still talking about this 1%. Let's not get sidetracked. Because these guys are all looking at it, and we can see on the Kaspa chart when we zoom in to FOMC meetings, this is a dead giveaway that those prospectuses are on Jane and Jump Street and everybody's desk, because every time Powell gets up to speak at an FOMC meeting, Kaspa has massive, unparalleled bullish reaction. This was my initial trigger. I hadn't done a 24-point report on Kaspa. I hadn't studied the fundamentals. It was a technical analysis read, but more importantly, June 1st to June 16th, which is right after the FOMC meeting, June 19th, Kaspa's moving sideways and up, but the entire rest of the altcoin market is crashing terribly. Even more so after crypto banter and everyone falsely said it was altcoin season. Right here, that's when we started shorting AVAX. We got another bounce off this trend line. Look at this. June 1st, we bounce, we dump super hard. Jane and Jump Street sold their AVAX, ICP, their legacy crypto. They dumped it right then. And simultaneously, as Powell's getting in front of the camera, talking about FOMC meetings, now Kaspa's moving up. To me, I knew that I needed to start researching Kaspa, but for right now, I was going to buy it for a swing trade. I figured the worst case scenario is it would make a double top. This chart is missing the April peak, so there was a nice peak and run up here. So we knew this would, worst case scenario, form a double top, and we used this time to deep dive into Kaspa when we started putting the puzzle pieces together, and we were like, okay, this is it. We're going to hodl this. And we were fighting everybody on the internet. It was like, Kaspa's already jumped up so high, it's going down. Nobody on social media, for the majority, really has a method system that works at all. They're just gobbledygook, because the last crypto market was so off the charts, unbalanced due to the M2 money printing and this extreme drop off. We could go back in time and we could put together a class of mentally handicapped people to pick out a list of cryptos from the top 100, and they'll hit. It was just, anyone could do it. It's very easy. And so the techniques, methods, and skills, they're just not working. They're not working. You guys out there in YouTube world, any creators watching this, you failed. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not an expert. You're on what's known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's when people think they know what they're talking about and they have no idea. It's a whole concept that scientists study, and the majority of social media influencers are somewhere on this chart. They're right here. The peak of Mount Stupid. They think they know everything. They've actually been recording their trades for the past 400 days, maybe even 4 years, because they started uploading during the last bull market. They thought they had it all figured out. Where are you guys right now? Most of you are in the hole. Let's be honest. You're losing money over the past 400 days. Because you jumped in on altcoin season. I'm talking about altcoin daily. I'm talking about crypto banter. I'm not picking on the Peach Fuzz Mafia. I'm trying to punch up here. No clue what they're talking about. Ugh, gobbledygook. Now, maybe they're starting to study a little bit more. And they're realizing, whoops, I missed something here. And this happened to me, was day trading in stocks. Took me a long time to figure out how to do this. And having an advanced stock background, already gone through the Dunning-Kruger effect, helps you. And you should always assume that you know nothing, and always have the mentality of a student and be eager to learn more. I'm constantly studying bonds in more detail. Yes. 40,000 yard stairmaster. That sounds like somebody you can't wait to meet in person. Says Jesse shoots straight, and that is priceless. That's right. We're just trying to give it to people direct. Just tell it how it is. %1 of the total crypto market cap at 6 trillion gives Kaspa like a $2. Sounds pretty reasonable to me. Just based off of the prior market, which was a $2 trillion peak, to get 1%. Oh, yeah, you went for 1%. So he's lowballing. Sure. He's given a lowball expectation. What he is not correlating is the historic amount based on this coin market cap chart. We can see during November, Bitcoin, we know hit $1 trillion, and we know is going to hit $3 trillion. What this guy is saying is, yeah, I see BNB hit 10% of that. Solana's at 6, Cardano's at 5. So he's just lowballing here. He's like, well, we'll get 1%, right? But we'll get so much more. The reason why we'll get so much more is because Jane and Jump Street and the mechanics and the details that's going on, and the proof of that is all in the Kaspa performance on its FOMC meetings. This is showing us directly that those power players, they're the ones that are buying it. They're the ones that are getting everything up and running. We had this initial April breakout, the first repeating trend line downward. This is an X-axis trend line. You clone this, and it fits all over the chart. This is the big difference when it comes to stocks. Any of you guys are coming over from the stock market, you have some experience swing trading on Webull, and you want to get into crypto because you know the gains are going to be better, definitely join VIP, because we are going to help you make that transition way faster. Advanced traders, you can join VIP and hire me to do your legwork. I've read over 50 white papers recently, combed through the best ones, and I create these. This one's for the Alex Becker pick desync. It's 8 pages plus links. So you really got to read it online. It's like a 50-page book on desync. And some of the links will help you define words like, what's a DNS? Right? This kind of computer terminology that intimidate a lot of people on a lot of different levels of investing. It's just like entering in high school. Just slow down, open up a new window, define that word. It's just slang. They're just trying to keep you out of the inner circle. Don't let them bully you intellectually. You're smarter. It just takes patience. If you're a total newbie, you can, with patience, digest and understand everything we have. Showing you this unique charting system that we have. Stocks don't use repeating trend lines because they don't have emission schedules and they don't have halving schedules. We know this sends ripples through the chart because every 4 years, Bitcoin halving goes up. That's part of the equation. That's restricting the supply. Everything we've been talking about in this video is increasing the demand. We're following the money. The more money out there, the more demand it is to prevent it from being inflated on. You can't just keep it in the bank. It'll ruin the value, as you know. So this repeating X-axis trend line repeats itself over and over again. We're actually on it right now, although we have an extremely wide gravitational field. There's another symmetrical triangle with this Y-axis support. This is another repeating trend line, the Y-axis, bouncing off the bottom of the handles of the cup. Somewhere back here, this trend line appeared. Was it there? Yeah. So this trend line had already appeared. And back when this chart was first forming, we cloned this trend line from over that spike, put it down here, and we were waiting to catch consecutive bounces off of it. This is combining technical analysis with the bond market fundamental understanding. Like we just did predicting the market would crash on August 28th. We did the same trick back here. We're looking for consecutive bounces showing us that this repeating trend line from here was going to start acting as support. When you put a Fibonacci pitch on top of this, like we did, and this is the trick with all trend lines. This is just basic stuff, has nothing to do with our particular trading system. You're always trying to count the maximum amount of contact points. That will give you the strongest trend line. That will give you the strongest Fibonacci pitch setup. As we found that this had by far the most contact points. Let's put it in color so it appears more clear. See it bouncing off the golden pocket. The handle peak bounces off the bottom of the gray. The April peak bounces off the top of the gray. This whole Fibonacci pitch was set up. You can watch our old videos before the handle even started forming. So we had this set up way back then, just from counting contact points. Look what happened in the future. It caught the top. And we had always had a theory that it was going to do that. We're shy about saying it because we didn't want to try to sound like Nostradamus. Fast forwarding into the future, total Nostradamus. Bouncing off, acting as resistance every time. Using this y-axis support in many different ways, we can start to see more classical patterns, specifically the symmetrical triangle that we just broke out of. Kaspa's been repeatedly forming this symmetrical triangle pattern. This symmetrical triangle is very receptive of market sentiment overall. So back here, we're talking Bitcoin ETF. Obviously, that's going to break to the upside. Here, we had always predicted that there would be an inverse head and shoulder. Inside VIP, I can bring those up. But right now, with the current symmetrical triangle, it's these two repeating trend lines meeting an apex. So it's a struggle of power. Which one's going to take hold? The y-axis support from way back here is where it started, and then the bottom of the cup. Is this one going to have the power, or is the x-axis going to hold us down? And we know, August 28th, what happened? Massive bond sale. So those 5% bonds are getting bought up by the market makers, the Jane and Jump Streets, the BlackRocks. They're the ones who move the price, not retail. Thus, massive downside. RIP. When it comes to charting how massive the breakouts can be, we've got to keep in mind Kaspa is still a caterpillar. It's only running at 1 TPS. It'll soon be upgraded to 10 BPS. It'll then have smart contracts implemented on it. It's going to grow wings and sprout them out. So it's very hard, especially with altcoins that are new listings, to use TA to get the absolute breakout prices, although we are experimenting with different ideas to chart that. On Bitcoin, it's easy. We know how to find the 50,000 on Bitcoin using those exact same techniques we just showed on Kaspa. We've got Bitcoin. It's got its own repeating trend lines, and it's got breakout trend lines in purple. We can see this broadening wedge pattern. Same exact pattern forms here. We fast forward. We're getting to 150,000 right around the first of 2026, right around the end of 2025. So it's very clear. Excellent point by B. Watts here. He's a miner. He's into the hardware game. he noticed when the KRC20 inscription did their test run, an increase in revenue. And we've dug this paperwork up. We've gutted it out. I don't have it ready for you right now, but yes, there's a direct connection to an increase in minor fees. Casplex, let's break down who Casplex is really quick, what they're going to do and why it's so important for the growth of Kaspa. It's Ice River, OKX Exchange, and Rhubarb Media, all put together. Ice River, they're having a hard time selling their miners right now, right, B Watts? Because the hash rate is so high. Guys like Rapid Mining, who knows that business really well, he's saying they're $800 overpriced. I'm not going to double check his math. I'd say he's probably pretty accurate. He's got a fair gauge on that. Thus, Casplex is getting ready to launch sort of this Kaspa ecosystem. Rhubarb Media, what these guys do is they actually create logos, web enhancements. This is what their specialty is. Let's zoom in here. Because what they're going to turn their skill set into is meme coin mania. Branding and identity, web design and development, sales and marketing. That means that these guys are trained in demographics, psychographics. They know all about dogs, frogs, cats, robots. They're going to create meme coin mania, which is one of the reasons why Solana is starting to lead the stable coin run right now. Why? Because with meme coins, you need to be liquid. Therefore, and what I'm going to be personally investing in is not the meme coins on Kaspa, the utility coins. You guys have heard of Joe on AVAX, right? It's like you can go there and swap all your AVAX chain cryptos into something else. They're going to start to create Trader Joe type of utility coins, like the spooky swaps on Phantom. For any of you old schoolers, that stuff is going to start popping up all over Kaspa. And it's very important to monitor the bond market, because what we want is this number to drop fast and hard. That way we get a longer distribution channel. What we want to happen is a year, like on the total 3 right here, it shows a full year of distribution. That's from the bond market dropping off fast and quick. What we don't want is the bond market to stay above 3% during 2025 and 2026. That's way more likely to create a blow off top that gives Casplex much less time to develop the entire ecosystem. We want longer periods of distribution. So as this kicks off, one, it starts picking up more USTD volume, stable coins for Kaspa, and it increases the miner fees. Guess who really likes that? Not Rapid Mining, BlackRock, Jane and Jump Street, and Marathon Digital. They're like, yeah, this is a good one. They're only mining 1% of their hash rate on Marathon with this. Because of this factor, Banana Republic, with your 1% prediction on the historic snapshots of Kaspa, we're going to do a whole new level. Like 10% was BNB, XRP, Solana, Cardano. Between 5 and 10, Kaspa can go over the top of those numbers. But that's a whole nother data set. The whole point of this video was to show people what nobody's talking about, which is follow the money. Hence the logo of our channel is the eyeball from the back of the money. You got to keep your eye on the dollar bill, son. That's how you're going to figure it out. And you can go to Harvard for that for 8 years. Kaspa, hands down. Looking at, this is a great question. Not trying to down talk ICP at all, But looking at this chart, and then we're going to compare it, just the technical analysis, the overall sentiment to ICP, you can see it's night and day, man. So right here in May of 2000 where is May of 2023? Anyway, forget about that point. Moving forward, just to the technical analysis on ICP. What does this look like? It's an upside down inverted cup and handle. It's a rounded bottom. Now, when you see patterns in technical analysis, people often start thinking geometry, math. No, it's all human psychology. This is showing the buyers losing control and the sellers dominating, a secondary rally coming up and failing. And then it's like almost like a cup and a handle and a handle. So this is May of 2023. This was when the last altcoin season was going to get ready to ripping. A lot of ICP investors got caught up in around here unless they were really on point and they picked up during these crashes or waited for the true bottom to come up, probably with knowledge in the FOMC meetings, as we just showed on the total 3. This is when the majority of social media started loading the bags, right around 5. So you're only up 50%. The majority of people are up 50% on ICP from this investment cycle. The best of the best who bought the absolute swing low have 1.5x'd. Look at this chart on Kaspa. It just looks way more bullish, way more active, and dropping in those FOMC meetings. There's one here, there's one here, here, and here. Basically, every time before Kaspa starts ripping to the upside, someone's getting a signal from Powell and the FOMC based around bond policy, following the money, that Kaspa is going to be going places. Kaspa gets to 40 billion. I'm not a big fan of legacy cryptos because the technology gets outdated fast. ICP is a very, very unique crypto project with the plasma tech. So the way they're basically making a whole new chain every time they launch a thread out there. It's kind of experimental. Really, in my opinion, ICP is more of like a pink slip stock company. That's why they have all these high reports. That's why people get so excited about ICP, because of the business, the money that's transacting hands on chain. It's much more like a pink slip stock company that's getting listed as a cryptocurrency to get more exposure to the Bitcoin halving cycle than it is a real breakthrough technology, in my opinion. If plasma tech, for all you ICP heads, was really such a big deal, there'd be a lot more plasma tech projects. It's kind of just a tricky way of calling something a cryptocurrency. It's a nuance idea that didn't catch on. And because in 2022, all the new listings, 2023, there should be a bunch of plasma techs coming up. If there was, probably do a deep dive into ICP. There's not. So it's kind of like sneaking into the Olympics to compete as a woman. It's a stock hiding as a crypto. Cryptos in general are all about, most of them are just vaporware, as we know. ICP is not a vaporware. They do more business. They're just trying to get this data. This data is the gold. There's very few and far between that actually have real world use, like Kaspa and others. Yes, Nacho is Shy's cat. I actually got invited out to lunch the next time the Kaspa team comes to Vegas by some of the other creators in town that helped me set up this studio that we're doing live streams from, but it would be like meeting George Clooney. I'd be too intimidated. I could never meet those guys. Yeah. So they've got that meme coin, but I want you to think about something for a second, Nick. Think about Rhubarb Media and what Casplex is doing. These guys are pros, man. They're pros. Shai is an awesome coder. He's got that legacy value to him with Nacho. What these guys are going to do is they're going to create like cyber frog, cat dog, awesome, fun, interactive meme coins that people want to buy, that's fun to invest in. And they're going to launch them out to the project, launch them to the public. These guys are pros. They'll look at demographics, psychographics. They'll know what color, what animal. Should it be cartoonish? Should it be a regular photograph? They'll have all this stuff down to a scientific data, Nick. Who buys more, when, based on all of this. And then, of course, they'll advertise. That's what they do. Sales and marketing media. These guys are experts. So to think in terms of what Kaspa meme coin you want to get, you can get Nacho. Once Rhubarb starts launching these coins, these are the ones. The first one that really catches your eye on Rhubarb, when Casplex launches it, that's going to be a hit. And they're just still building the infrastructure of that right now. But yeah, the Nacho is, for the old schoolers, definitely. Right now, it's the best meme coin. Paul Clinton, one of the OGs of Kaspa, he got in, scooped up 1.2 million at 2 cents, right around the same time frame that we recorded ourselves buying Kaspa. I don't know if Paul Clinton was aware of the FOMC meetings, if that's something that he uses with his trading. That rabbit hole goes way, way deeper, as we just showed, calling out in our VIP. Yo, on August 28th, they're doing a huge bond auction. It's going to vacuum liquidity out of the market, and there's going to be downside. What the question is now on everybody's mind, Paul, is projecting to the future. They think, oh, Kaspa's already hit 3 billion. Therefore, it's so high up there, it can't go much higher. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. Now that it's at 3 billion, you're starting to open the doors for these guys. Jane and Jump Street, BlackRock. They've already got Kaspa. This is a fact. In a portfolio, the smartest guys in the world. You think my 24-point reports are detailed? This is 8 pages about one Alex Becker pick with links. They've got the whole thing detailed out for the big brains to go over. They're definitely scooping it up, and we can see that based on historical data. Kaspa's like a sponge absorbing FOMC meetings. So as these bonds get unlocked, a large portion of this bubble is going to go directly into Kaspa. A portion of it's going into crypto. They're saying anywhere between $6 and $10 billion, as we broke down earlier, will go into crypto. Looking at the history, 1 billion went into Bitcoin, and the altcoins got 10 to 5% of that. Kaspa easily, because it's on the desk of Jane and Jump Street, BlackRock. These guys are the market, and there's probably more market makers I don't even know about listed on this group. They own all the stable coins. They own all the altcoins. One of the biggest misconceptions is, well, Binance is going to have to buy Kaspa. Coinbase has to buy Kaspa. They deal the business to Jane and Jump Street. They don't own all that liquidity. They're just the front man. They're the middle man. They're middlemanning Jane and Jump Street. They've got all the money. They're buying all the Kaspa. Obviously, that's why they... Hold on, I'm going to get a battery. That's why they have their shares in BlackRock already. So what people are trying to put together right now, what's going to do the best for the upcoming bull run? And it's hands down Kaspa, because it's already 3 billion, because it's so close to the top as we sit, because it's on the desk of Jane and Jump Street, because it's on the desk of BlackRock, because all the other altcoins like ICP, no offense to ICP investors, this doesn't look very hot to me. I mean, at least in the short term. Kaspa's the new cutting edge technology, not even getting into the tech though, because there's so many people that already cover that. Getting into the money, following the money. Already more money has been pouring into Kaspa, and it's based around FOMC calendar dates. That's a dead giveaway. That's a huge tell. So in poker, the secret to success, knowing what your opponent is holding. You're always trying to play the other guy's cards. Crypto is a zero-sum game, and we're playing against the market makers. Their biggest tell that they can't hide is when they're buying these assets. Now, in the stock market, they can use like the shadow markets, the pre-markets. They have all kinds of tricks that they can hide everything. Crypto's out in the open. It's blatant, open source, and we can just see. We know they're paying attention during the FOMC meetings and making their decisions based on it. They're the ones that are causing these massive upsides in crypto. In fact, back here, back when Paul Clinton and this channel were buying Kaspa, loading the bags, Paul, you remember what was happening all across social media? Everybody was saying Kaspa is going to zero. Kaspa is going to fall way below 1 penny. The ASICs will crash the price, which was absolute lunacy. And we had to go up and explain how supply and demand works, and ASICs actually increase the value. Hence, the study of hash rate increasing is another way that people can dive into price growth, timing, etc. Everybody was trying to talk Kaspa down, and my personal beliefs are there wasn't enough really top quality information going out about Kaspa. We know CG is one of the leading guys. Very clever kid. He's made a lot of money, made a lot of great call outs. He's a young guy. It takes years of experience to really know this, and the more seasoned traders are immediately just trying to take a cheap shot at the guys that are reporting on it rather than making an unbiased look. How do I know? I thought the same thing. I was looking up Kaspa and I ran into like a CG and a Crypto John who I really think is not good. I thought, oh, these guys are on it. It's got to be terrible. And then I made an unbiased assessment and realized, wow, even a clock strikes right twice a day, right? A broken clock. So yeah, they don't know what they're talking about, Bill. The majority of social media is not just wrong, they're dead wrong. The majority of social media as of today is losing money. They're not in. You can just back check anybody. They just got dumped on terribly. All of social media went all in on altcoins right here in May. They said this is altcoin season. They were buying all this, and then particularly right here. The majority of cryptos, ICP's up like 50% off of those dates. The majority of people are getting it wrong because they're looking at the wrong data. They're way too into the tech, and they're not following the money. And once you start following the money, you get to a whole new level. of trading. That's why we've been able to crush everybody. No, I like CG. I think CG is, I just did a video where I rated every content creator who covers Kaspa, their performance, and CG got the highest score, in my opinion. Why? Diversification. He came off his diversification and went into a majority position in Kaspa. And yeah, he goofs off with his meme coins and he admits they're like playing a lottery ticket. I don't agree with that at all, but it doesn't matter because he's still got a majority position in Kaspa. So he can go play craps with the rest of his portfolio. He's still going to be a winner. It doesn't matter. So that was key. One of the other things that I really didn't like was that whole GameFi hype up that everybody got involved in. They're getting together and doing group live streams on multiple rug pulls. Lit Labs, Hello Labs. Those were like their best picks and their obvious rug pulls. I tried to voice the opinion of reason. Let's see if we can get to crypto rank right now without the stream crashing. This is a great tool. And actually, don't ever use CoinMarketCap. Use this. Only use this. CryptoRank.io. Here's Lit Labs. So we know spikes up super hard right around the first week of November. For one, it's built on top of BNB chain. Inside the 24-point checklist, when we comb over every detail you can possibly imagine, the chain the project is built on matters a lot. BNB, I won't invest in any projects on BNB. That's a mistake that you can make, but learning it on your own, it's not the go-to right now. Solana, Base, and up and coming Kaspa. Going to be way better. Here's the kicker, and this is why this tool is so great. You can see who's backing it, ChainGPT Labs. Let's go to vesting. This is what we want here. And there are other tools that can give us this same information we're about to look at in different formats. Team Unlock. October 11th. So we're talking 20 days before that massive spike to the upside happens. The Team Unlock is starting. So it's like, 2 weeks before this giant magnifying lens, the team starts getting paid. Now the team's getting paid. I mean, it's just an obvious pump and dump. Ridiculous. To go even a step farther, play these games. They're the worst games in the world. You could take 100 random people who like video games, put them in a room with an 8-bit Nintendo, an Atari, and the Lit Labs and GFAL for that matter, and they're going to play the Atari and the Nintendo. Because the games are terrible. Lit Labs is a direct copycat of GFAL. Trip Hawkins designed sports games. How creative do you think this guy is? Is he like off in South America with some tribe doing Wayuska ceremonies, getting a vision on some great game? No. He's like some nerdy guy that just copies sports, has a lot of golf buddies in the industry, so their games lack creativity. They're not really there. It wasn't originally a CG pick. He came up with it. So he's a clever kid, and I do like him. He does meme coins. I don't. So we have a fork in directional trading. I'd rather go with the spectrals, the new AI listings, stuff like that, stuff that I can understand and comprehend. In terms of Kaspa, instead of just buying Kaspa, buy the Kaspa meme coins. Buy the Kaspa utility, like Trader Joe for AVAX, right? You can swap all your AVAX picks on Joe. And to go even deeper into the comparison, well, one good thing about Galaxy is he's able to, using a rudimentary and basic understanding grasp at the fact that Kaspa is going to at least do $5 to $10 range. He knows that. He's not just spewing out moonshot things. He has his own method of solving that equation. What we did in today's video was build off of it with more details, more accounting, more following the money to get it out there. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this stream up. So remember, hit subscribe, hit thumbs up, get the word out there that we've got better content that you'll usually find, more detailed, covering why Kaspa is going to moonshot. What we were unwrapping today was really Satoshi's secret, which we did a live stream on a few days ago. It's very important. It's very undercovered. Not a lot of people are going into this. Inside VIP, we've been making the most insane accurate call outs utilizing this stuff. Knowing the market was going to turn to the downside directly here, we got the two best swing trades off of the Bank of Japan carry trade with Spectral and Matrix Fire. Matrix Fire's over doubled up since then. And we got everybody in 50 cents and under and an add-on at 70, just knowing it was going to keep ripping. And we've got Spectral. Over half a dozen of these 24-point reports. This one's on an Alex Becker pick. It's 8 pages plus links. You'll learn more about crypto and methods, strategies, and tactics that actually work. This channel's got an A. We're up 15x. Very simple, nothing too complex. Calling out all these crazy exact turning points in the market on Kaspa and everything else with the leverage trades, etc. Because we're taking it to another level. We're following the money, following the bonds. In 2 weeks, Powell's going to be on TV. He's going to be talking it up. Everyone's going to be watching. You can understand and then make money off what he's saying. That's why he's on TV. By joining our group, it'll help you get your foot in the door. You guys are studying hard. You want to work harder. This is going to streamline you building your own trading portfolio to show you inside VIP what it looks like. Huge collections. Everybody knows they should have a trading journal. So we have all of our Kaspa leverage trade plans that use that system that we talked about, the repeating trend line system. This is all the leverage trading plans to get everybody in at 11.5 cold and 12.25 and 13.3 long. So low with the correct utilization of leverage, we escaped the carry trade downside. So there's a great history of call outs. You can watch them unfold. Then we have our AI and altcoin trading plans, the Alex Becker picks that we like and other ones, Tau, macroeconomics, the study of bonds, things of that nature. Jumping into the Kaspa leverage trades, I'll show you an important macroeconomic post right here. Boom. You can see August 28th. They're selling auction date, bonds, 2-year, 5-year, 1 year, 27-week. They're selling loads of bonds. What happens on the 28th? The market dumps. Exactly like we knew would happen based on this information. The pattern directory for technical analysis. When you buy a book on it, as I have many, you'll see the symmetrical triangles, the cup and handles. What we do is, for one, we have the recent variations of this on charts you've been looking at, as well as adding a whole new spin on it with the repeating trend line system. So this is a symmetrical triangle charts. We can see multiple symmetrical triangles breaking to the upside because the sentiment was bullish. We did this post inside VIP right here saying, heads up, we got a symmetrical triangle, but because of the bond auction that just took place, we know this one's breaking to the downside. So get ready because prices going down. This is technical analysis. combined with fundamental analysis, this is how you whoop the market silly. Anybody can beat the market with some good timing. You want to whoop it silly? Get on board. We got the new listings. So we actually caught, there's all these Alex Becker nut hugger pages, right? They're like, we can track Alex Becker's wallet and we know what he's going to get. And a lot of his picks are pretty dumpy anyway. Some of them are great. We got this one, NIA, 24 hours before he even talked about it, just using our own vetting system, which we explained. So we got the buy alert on NIA here, and then Alex Becker called it out one day later. And then it like totally ripped to the upside. So those Alex Becker nut hugger pages, no. We have his stuff breaking down and we trade it with technical analysis. We have two different watch lists. This is really three because the third watch list is the 24-point checklist reports. The watch lists are maybe 10 or under cryptos in different market caps. One's micros, 10 million and under. One's 10 million to 100 million. And as this downtrend continues, this recessionary period that we understand based on bond markets combined with technical analysis, we'll do another one for 100 million to 250 million. New listings, watch list, all the trading plans, origin trend lines, those repeating trend lines that we use to make all those spooky, accurate call outs on both the total three, how we called it on August 28th, it was going to exactly drop right then. There's two ways to get that solution, and it's a way to double check your reads. So we know there's two repeating trend lines. One's purple coming off of that broadening, that descending, falling wedge, coming off this repeats itself once again. And then there's also this golden trend line, which does repeat across this chart. As we can see here, it acts as support, later acts as support again. It's all over the place. It's here again. It's up there. It's a repeating trend line. They come to an apex on the exact date that we just pulled up with the August 28th calendar. So we're like, yeah, we know it's going down then. This whole repeating trend line system, great videos on it there. Using it with the classic patterns videos here, the 24-point checklist, and then all the 24-point reports. We've got 7 of them. This one's for desync. It's 8 pages. This is my biggest side bag. It's a Polychain Capital pick, very similar to Tau, but it's a new listing, very receptive to FOMC markets. It's called Spectral. So the majority of these are for AI. One of them is for GameFi, and it's hands down the show-stealing best GameFi project to ever exist, and it's not on the exchanges yet, which means if you're overseas, you'll have an opportunity to potentially buy it in the pre-listing market, as well as everybody can get it on day one, right away. And this thing, hands down, is going to rock it. We went through it with a fine-tooth comb. I live in $1 million condo, so I get to have coffee with big shots downstairs in the coffee lounge. These guys talk on CNBC. They go to the World Economic Forum. They were trying to tell me about this GameFi pick. I was like, whoa. How to do the 24-point checklist utilizing AI. We've got 84 questions. You can cut, copy, paste, jam them into ChatGPT Super or anything GPT-4. I like to use Agent GPT, and it will do independent thought for you and pull up links. You can go beyond those 84 questions and then just start to ask it more questions on top of those, but you got to get at least that minimum in. One of these reports is for a project that we thought was good on the first hour, half an hour, 15-minute review, enough to do a report on it. By the time we got halfway through the report, the reporting's so good, we realized it was terrible. But that's still up there because we wrote most of the report, and it shows that's for Blender, which we thought was going to be good, but by the time we finished the report, realized it wasn't, and we gave a no buy signal, saving everybody from getting involved in that debacle. And it's ways to find just small things about projects that you would normally overlook, like Alphium Did you guys know that they don't even write that in Solidity or Rust? They have a custom coding language, which cuts it off from really good developers worldwide. It's a really downward price action. All of our trading plans, we never do that instant button thing like you'll see in some of the Peach Fuzz Mafia. We're planning our trades out 72 hours to even 2 weeks ahead of schedule. We're getting ready for trades. Using TA, using fundamental research, combining it with the tech research that you'll see on crypto, just a whole nother level. You will grow the most out of every group I've been in from joining ours and just binging on what we've got. Trading alongside somebody with experience as a day trader, utilizing the bond market information, broad stroke and fine tuning. So that's that. Thanks for checking out this video, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.